Hi there. This is take frickin' 4. Please observe my signs. Okay. Let's try it again, just like I did the last time. Right now I'm listening to Sly and the Family Stone, Those Summer Days. It's very pleasant. So, I actually have 2 readings that I wanted to get to, but I gotta do the cards first because I'm trying to do the cards on the day of the card reading day. So, first card I pulled was Repairing the Veil. And you'll notice that it has laces, like that's like a real, I don't know, I mean, I guess it's an old low technology repair, or maybe it's some super substance that I have no concept of that sews divine veils, cosmic veils, whatever the veil is. I still don't know what the veil is like composed of, but it's a pink ribbon, and it reminds me of a certain type of I don't know, I guess art, but I actually have some of it here because it reminds me of this, and this is a heart-shaped box. So, if you look at the colors and things, this thing with the sky, do you see, like, what the, I guess, resemblance is? I don't know why it was necessary for me to go in there and get the box, but I tried to do this without the box. I assume I'm going to have more to say about it. I hope so, because otherwise I just feel like a nut. I tried to do it without going to get the box, and I couldn't even get started. It wasn't because I didn't have the box. I've just had a busy day. And like every bit of my patience is being tried. That's not a bad thing though, because my patience needs work. So I guess I'm getting an intensive right now. Started a new job, and when it rains it pours. And I don't know why they say it's so weird. It's like when it rains it doesn't pour, or some kind of weird thing that is just like a Mobius loop inside your cassette tape. Makes no sense how it got to be how it is, and yet there it is. And I have lost the track. Man, I'm starting to worry about that. Like, I know I'll either be talking, or I did it too when I was writing some notes after I finished the video in the information box of the video. I'm like making a analogy, and I'm like talking about it like it's a real thing. It's like, wait a minute, back it up. What are you, just like diving into a whole timeline of your own invention? And then I realized, well, you know what? Maybe that is what it is, because why the heck is it knocking me out every time that happens? As soon as I start to diverge, I start to feel like I'm going unconscious. There's got to be a collection. Yeah, I'm sure there's a collection too, but there's got to be a connection to like going off into that whatever I'm imagining that I'm talking about, that was inspired about the card reading, and then like almost forgetting, wait, you're not talking about a real thing, but it feels so real. And also, as soon as I start talking about it, I just like, I just deflate. I don't know what the heck that is, but yeah, interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to read the book here before I talk more about what's on the card. Repairing the Veil. Forgiveness, making amends, recognition of our unity. Between us all is this thin veil, appearing to be a space that separates us. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. Okay, maybe I am going to do the 2 videos together. I can't believe this tie-in. I mean, I do believe it. I shouldn't say I don't believe it. It just happened. Okay. We look through this veil and believe ourselves to be distinct from each other. We assume that our thoughts and feelings are our own. We see bodies and objects and the spaces between them, so we engage the world in relationships between a duality of us and them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it hard to believe in our inherent connection and unity. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate another, misuse power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many, not just those of us in the smaller direct relationship. Now is the time to examine where your actions have caused difficulty or harm to someone else, and also where you have been the recipient of harm. Regardless of what side you are on, it's important to take responsibility for healing this rift by sending love, compassion, deep listening. Well, that isn't going to work. Where did it go? Deep listening and presence to whatever is not in harmony. Do this for you and for your own liberty as you become an unwitting hostage once you take the role of perpetrator or victim, both positions of weakness. Let go of all of your resentments, know your part is in the dynamic, and make the appropriate amends with the newfound wisdom and understanding. Healing, forgiveness, and mending what is broken in your world is a sweet, much-needed declaration of freedom. Okay, I started thinking about this other thing that I was writing yesterday, and it was kind of like the cards that I read from the day before keep bleeding through to the next day, like the ideas and the concepts. But this is what I started writing. Just like sometimes I just need to do it, and this is what came out. We live in Venn space, VENN, like a Venn diagram. Veil, connections, us. How? Why? Delve that. We are so many things in terms of ways of being. We are just within ourselves, many people. Oh, what? You're not? Prove it. Oh, excuse my language. Oh, that's what that is. My cat likes to get in the window, and he likes to climb through the blinds, and that's what that weird noise is. So he's over there he's having a little tiny, a narrow slot of a room that's all of his own, that he's sharing with 3 plants. Now I lost my place. Oh, what, you're not? I can see some of us saying that, like, no way, that's nothing like me. I'm no head case or other objections. And I hear that. Okay, I was watching something while I was writing this, and this was just sort of, it just sort of slid into my subconscious, whatever, but I'm just gonna, no, it wasn't subconscious. I was 100% aware of it. I just went with it. So I'm watching a news report, and this is what they're talking about. They were talking about Steven Crowder and the SAC tap. Dubious tolerance, pretty woke general attitude amongst employees to stay on while crowded, the nasty anachronism, as he's two or more face from the, as if he's Crowder, the nasty anachronism, as if he's Two-Face from Batman. There looks to be a lot of pain inside the guy, though. As if he's fighting some version of himself, which made me write themself, which I don't think he's there, but I think them is in there rather than he, because the sack tap that I referred to earlier, I believe that the men are expected to either let Crowder tap their sacks, their ball sacks, or they're expected to tap his. So back to which made me write them. And scratch it out, replacing it with he for consistency. Although, I don't know who I think's gonna see this. In fact, the fact I'm writing about it is, to be clear, and in indication, I ran out of room. It's an indic that I'd rather not go with. It's an indication that I'd rather go with my impulse to not call him he. Although in the manosphere that he dwells in, just what I said probably caused, like, chain reaction embolisms. But, this is not about him. So, yes, the venning. We have the idea that, as individuals, we're so distant from each other, but that's just not true. We just really aren't. Because it's a bit of a mind bender to create new pathways of thought to accommodate what we already got going in terms of belief. But we can, despite all indications, we can change our minds. It's easy. So, sorry, I'm going to be getting so upset. Well, that's all I wrote, because I kept getting interrupted trying to write that too. It has been a busy day, and yesterday, and it's probably just going to continue to be that way, so I'll get tired of griping about it probably pretty quick, and hopefully I'll just gain a tolerance and also just get better at it. I trust that I will learn how to do that. Okay, so that whole thing about the venting, the reason why it came up is because I was thinking about why do you always leave my brain right when I need you to jump in my mouth? Hold on here. Closely held ideas, and how it's that baggage we're always being reminded that we don't need to be carrying around, and we should shed that stuff. We should, like, just drop it like a turd. So, because really, if you have, like, an idea that you've, for one thing, if it's been long held, you almost have grown into it, like a fat person who's immobile by their weight, it grows into their couch. Like, you have become stuck. And so, you don't want to be in that state of mind. And what I'm seeing right now is, like, definitely the big person stuck to the couch, but also, like, the, I'm just gonna, if I can find it quickly, like the card from yesterday. That's why I mentioned that, there's, like, bleed through. Because I guess I was still thinking about this card that I pulled yesterday, which was Deep Diver. And the thing about it, there it is, that I wanted to show you was, remember the heavy person on the couch becoming the couch that I talked about? that's their baggage. Like, whatever it is that made them so heavy that they're in the physical situation they're in, but also that well, they can't get themselves out of it, but to get there, there's a reason, you know, and we'll look at people and just think, oh my God, what a pig, you know, and that'll be it. Like, oh, you're fat, and I'm just going to dismiss you. Well, and that's I'm talking about somebody that's more than fat. Like, someone like that, anytime I've seen somebody way bigger than average, they're very self-conscious. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to look at you. Unless they're the opposite end of the spectrum and they're completely aggressive and just mean. Of course, there's the normal people sort of in between. It's a spectrum, like everything else, but the heavy person and their baggage that obviously they didn't want to let go, because look how far it took them, how big it made them, how kind of painfully impossible whatever it was that kicked all of it off is. It's like super powerful. And if it's a situation that you've been living with for years and you haven't adjusted, that's going to be really hard to get out of. And so that's not going to like lighten your load. So this is a well, it's not a real person. It's a sketch. It's an idea, okay? But I thought of them like not being able to get up out of the couch and also their problem, but it made me think of this because you can see this diver. I got really stuck on this yesterday. I had to figure out which way the person was facing at first, and if it was a person, and the fins confused me, and like the body, the way that it is, I could not figure out what the heck was going on there. I mean, I did figure it out. Like, it wasn't a mystery for the rest of my life. I figured it out while I was still doing the reading. But imagine that that's the heavy person and their couch, and they're gonna fall into the water. I mean, then they got yet another situation to get up out of. And so I think that's just kind of the general state of mind of someone like that, though. Yeah, I haven't been there, but I've felt defeated before. And then you feel bad because even if they're not looking at you, or even if they are, and if you're unusually large, I'm sorry, people are going to look. And I don't mean a child that's going to stare and have to be like dragged away and learn the lesson of not staring at someone. I'm talking about adults that do it. And lately, I would hate to be that person, that imaginary person, because I could see how people are so cruel at the drop of nothing right now. It's just we draw the kind of attention that we want and that we don't want, and we might think we want stuff, some kind of attention, and then learn like, oh, this is exactly not at all what I thought it was going to be. Or boy, why does everything keep escaping? I can say one sentence and the rest of it tries to fly away. Boy. Oh, well, anyway, the person, you know, they're already like feeling low about themselves. Oh, and the people looking at you. And so you're going to think stuff, and they're going to think stuff, and you're going to feel what they're thinking, especially if it's negative. Because a positive person would just come up and smile and say hello and talk to you like a normal person and have empathy for someone that is so heavy they can't like raise up their own body on their own strength. And it's resulted in, along with other things, them merging with their own, you know, furniture cushions. That would feel horrible too. And I'm talking about something that has happened to actual people, not just my imaginary person. So they're already heavy. They're already weighed down. And I just thought the defeated person might want to just, it might just be easier to just like fall backwards into the water and just let it take you. And that's a sad thing, because I know that we have some of us that cut ourselves, and some of us that, you know, eat maybe out of comfort, and then it turns into something else, or it turns into everything else, and your solution is to everything is to eat. I don't know. I can't speak. I can only theorize and imagine like what might be happening inside the mind of someone like that. But I can see how the world would just make you... Well, the world doesn't make us do anything. It's the way that we perceive the world and perceive ourselves. So if we feel bad because we think the world is looking at us, there's a key word in there, and it was think. We think the world is looking at us. I didn't say the world is looking at us. They might be looking at your direction. They might not be looking at you. They might look at you and go, wow, that person is really super fat, and then keep moving. Like, it's not... Like, you're going to feel way more self-conscious about yourself if you're that person than the people looking on. And like I started to say, like right now, or maybe I did say, right now is a terrible time to be sensitive and have something obvious for people to pick on, because they will, and that's on us. I don't do it, but I'll go along with the us because I'm one of us. So, I don't know what the significance of all of that was, but that was driving part of what I just said, all of that other stuff. I still have no idea what the box is supposed to be about. So then I pulled a second card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and it was Rabbit. So, you know, I've pulled this card in the past for personal reasons, and I get all bummed. I'm like, no way, I'm like emitting rabbit vibes. So I did not get that today. What I got was, God, I hope I can remember. I don't think I wrote it down. Dang it. Well, it's definitely something about this being a fast animal, fast-moving animal. And I don't think it was running from anything when I thought of it. What was the running about? I can't remember. I don't know. I just got the feeling that it was just like... the background looks like blinds, and that's not... That's just a passing thought, but... that rabbit just looks like it's getting ready to run off somewhere. Oh, that's what it was. Okay, now I remember. So the rabbit looks like it wants to go, right? So earlier it was like, oh, I'm late for a very important date. And if you don't know that quote, it is the white rabbit from the Alice in Wonderland story. And he was always rushing off. And if you know anything at all about that story, it might as well have been like a Scooby-Doo episode where there's those hallways and the Scooby-Doo people are being chased by the monster people or whoever, and then, or the monkeys did it. Like, so many people did this gag. Let's say there's a hallway with 6 doors, 3 on either side, and they're all running past each other, or they're popping out of the doors and actually chasing each other, or the chasers switch position and the Scooby-Doos are chasing the monster people. You know what I'm talking about? So this rabbit in the Alice in Wonderland story, the story was kind of like that. And so in the story, the rabbit would go rushing off, and then all of a sudden it'd turn up again, or it'd pop out of a rabbit hole, and like, and the people and the reader, that was me, would be all, well, where did you just come from? I thought you were in such a hurry to be somewhere else. I don't think this rabbit has that But I think it does need to go. Like, the background makes me think of fall. Like, hurry up, summer's about to end. That's a very topical feeling. I don't know. I have to go on, I think, and develop that some more. That rabbit's not scared though. It's like it looks like it knows where to go run. I don't know. Is there something to be running from? I'm a rabbit. There's always something to be running from. It's just not a good idea to sit still. Well, you know, that could apply to the couch person. But also, like, the venting that I was talking about, that was also, for me, like a dimensional thing. Like, it was talking about in here, where we think we're so separate, but we're actually very similar and right on top of each other. We're actually, like, it was so great what it said about, you know, looking at someone else. Oh, here, let me find it so I don't say it all more messed up than I have. So we engage the world in relationships between a duality of us and them. This veil serves as a mysterious illusion, making it hard to believe in our inherent cohesion and unity. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. That was the part I wanted to get to. We can't always remember that what we do to someone else, we at the same time do to ourselves. When we claw at the veil out of fear, anger, jealousy, or resentment, manipulate each other, misuse our power, or allow someone's actions to diminish us, we create a wound felt by many, not just those of us in the smaller, direct relationship. Now, okay, so I don't need to read that whole thing again. Did I read the whole thing before? I might not have. I get sidetracked. Let me just pick up there and finish it. Now is the time to examine where your actions have caused difficulty or harm to someone else, or also where you have been harmed. Okay, yeah, I did read that. So, the Venn thing, do you know what a Venn diagram is? I'm not going to draw one, but let's say this is one subject of the diagram and this is the other, and they move into each other so that you get this middle area, and that's the Venn zone. I mean, I think all of it is, but I'm talking about that little area where the two sort of conjoin. The two absolutely conjoin. And in there is where our closeness lies, and it's weird because we can be so close on top of each other that we don't see each other. We can say words to the most exacting clarity ever possible, and we are not hearing each other. But when I was thinking of that, it also made me think of ghosts. Like, just because a ghost is a ghost doesn't mean they're messing with people. Like, there could be so many reasons why the world that they lived in as a living person is just so much more interesting and exciting and accessible in ways that we probably can't even conceive of. It might just be more interesting to stay around on Earth, like, you know, I mean, I don't know, it doesn't seem like that crazy of an idea for me. Although I do know that, I don't know this. I feel like, of course they're aware of us. Some of them are connected to us directly, you know, like relatives. And they would be around us because they care about our welfare, along with, apparently we have angel guides and angels that are with us from birth to prevent us from dying like a Venture brother. Which means foolishly and stupidly in a way that, like an accident that could have absolutely easily been prevented. So it's like we don't see the dead people because, well, they're in a dimension that most of us are just not tuned into. That's one reason. They can make themselves known. They can make themselves visible to us. I mean, the closest thing I can think of that a living person that would have to this is that person that can look at a stranger and know how to press their buttons after like a minute, or like a cult leader that just says lots of sounds that mean nothing, like to people that are susceptible to a cult situation, susceptible to being drawn into one. And I don't know, like, I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Like, I hear myself talking, but I don't know what I'm saying. But we make so many choices in life, and when I say in life, that includes death. And that could also be like the dead people that are hanging around. A lot of people move on and just move completely on, I guess. But there's lots of dead people around, from what I understand. And I mean, I don't know how much I feel something like that. Although, I don't know, I was wondering about this earlier. I can definitely, like, catch people's feelings and emotions. And there's only been a few times when I've been in a place that made me feel stuff. But that right there is, to me, if there weren't like living people around making you feel stuff because when you walked in the room, like I was saying, over and over I've heard people that are able to see them, like psychic mediums, say, and it makes perfect sense, dead people are still people. So why wouldn't you walk into a room where people were hostile to you when they were alive? Why wouldn't it be able to happen when you're dead? I think that's what happens. Like, yeah, like they have like a foresight. Well, they have totally a foresight that most of us do not possess. They're gonna know when we're coming, and a lot of times they'll send us a message, like a bad dream or something, or just kind of a regular dream, but with people in a place you have never seen before in your life. And maybe that came from them, because, you know, thoughts and things like that are instantaneous, and they're getting like that in the world now on like this side of the veil. Manifestation is happening so quickly, and I think with the spirits, they don't have a lot of the drawbacks that we have, a lot of us here as humans. Like, we definitely decided that we were going to do a bunch of stuff, and then right before we were born, or right after, part of the plan was to forget all about it and just find our way to these goals, which, that seems insane for me. And this better be what I'm supposed to be doing, because if there's something else, I don't have a clue. I think I got away from what I was trying to say, but oh no, I didn't. Like the ghost thing, you can feel them if they want you to. I think that if you're not in some way bothering them, they'll just go on about their business and avoid you. But what I always picture, and I know this can't be the case, but I picture if they're in a crowded room that was like a ballroom, and maybe it burned up at some point, and so a lot of the people that were in there when it burned might still be hanging around, because it's difficult for them to leave those situations sometimes. And so I mean, they can, I guess. Oh, shit. Okay, I better hurry up and finish. Hold on, let me pause for a second. Okay, so the people, yeah, where we and the ghosts are all on top of each other. Oh, so that was the thing. I was imagining like the ghosts in the crowded room of like this ballroom where they would have died, which would have also been full at the time, or you know, had people in it, because otherwise, well, yeah, it's a tragedy. It had people in it. That's usually the case, and so they're going to be in there with the people, and I always think, so are the ghosts like dodging people? Like, are they moving out of the way? Like, what does that look like? Or are you allowed to like walk through them? I think, I mean, I don't know what all involves you getting a chill from a dead person, but I mean, from what I understand, it's not good to touch them. You'll get all in their energy. You might start feeling whatever killed them. But I know that you can get chills from certain entities. I guess trying to manifest and either like just be in the room with you, or speak, or touch you or something, or try to hurt you, even touching you somehow. But hold on. If they can control that, the hurting you, and I'm just not real sure about the temperature stuff. I know that certain entities are associated with cold atmospheres entering the room and changing it, or like evil ones, so-called, making it hotter. And I don't know what their decision is to go ahead and mess with you or not. But, you know, I started to say earlier, maybe we're intruding upon their space somehow. But this comes back to something that got in my head right when I started, like, opening up sort of more psychically. And it's that here where I live, and I've seen on ghost shows, different ones, there's a bunch of places here where I live in this state that I'm in. There's a bunch of places that are like Badlands because they have Indian curses on them, and I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to say about whatever I'm not gonna say another time. But what this place I'm thinking of in particular, it's not around here, but it's up north. It's accessible, you know. This state is not California. You could probably drive up there, drive across the whole state in like under a day. Well, north to south anyway. But anyway, this place I know is north of me, and I'm not gonna go there. But when I first started getting into this, I had a question that was sort of inspired by other people questioning themselves, and like I hadn't been questioning myself, but then I started to, because I was like, oh wow, I never thought of that. Maybe I should ask the question. So I didn't know like what my spiritual duty or journey was going to be. This apparently is it. Like, I'm doing it, but it doesn't have to be just one thing. And so what I thought of just spontaneously, so maybe I didn't think of it myself, or maybe I had some help, was that I just said I wanted to heal the land. And I was like, oh, listen to you. You don't know how to do that. All they know how to do is, like, be around people and make them feel good. But that was when I started out. Like, now I have more confidence in my abilities, and I still don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know some spell to stop it. But what I think it is that those people that were put there at a time when they thought what they were doing was gonna, like, help their situation improve, and as it is now, that ship is long sailed, and that war is over, that fight is over. I mean, there's lots of feelings still, and injustices and resentments about it, about that time, but it is over. Like, a whole new world. Generations of it have happened since those native spirits took up residency on that land strictly for the purpose of making it horrible for anyone, particularly white settlers or white people, to come live on it. You know, it's that thing where it causes people to start fighting and acting out. So it's not really the land per se. I mean, it might have something wrong with it, but I think what it is, more than it being the location, is that the guardians of the location are what makes it messed up. And that would be those native spirits. So, you know, the wheel has turned. The world that they were trying to protect is long gone. And I just felt like when I had that thought that I wanted to heal the earth, was that it was time for them to go ahead and let go and go home and be with their ancestors and their families. They've done the best they could do during the time they were there, but their fight is lost. Like, there's no scaring off the settlers of whatever race. And so, you know, they haven't seen their people in I don't know how many hundreds of years, and that's sad and ridiculous, because we don't die, you know, like the body may give out, but the soul goes on, you know, and it's not, nothing is gone, it's just transformed, you know. And the transformation is once the body was a living thing like myself, and when you give up the ghost, the spirit, the soul, then the body's like, I ain't got nothing to do anymore, so I'm just gonna fall down and start to decay, and it's just like the end of the cycle, restarting. And you get to go transform into something else or somebody else, or who knows, you know. That's a personal decision, I think. So I'm going to finish. I'm glad I was able to sort of moosh everything together. I just, one last few words about this box. I don't know why I think these go together, but I'll tell you what. This box I actually got from my roommate when I was living in Seattle. She gave it to me with, it had like a, actually I think she got it as a gift. And I think she re-gifted it to me or something. It was over a decade, so I can't remember precisely what happened, but I ended up with it. And I always thought it was, well, I don't know what I thought. I just, like Nirvana, Kurt was still alive when she had this box. So I guess it was before Heart-Shaped Box came out by Nirvana. But I thought, like, this box, having lived up in Seattle when it used to really rain a lot, this person, you know, for a time had a period where she would have been hanging out with Kurt or been at the places he was when he was doing his drug thing. And I just think about how all of the moisture that was in the air, and this is cardboard, like this could be holding like an odd fibrous crystal, so much information. And okay, I guess that's why I brought it in here. Who knew? And this is personal, but I just feel like the healing from the rent in the heart of Seattle and everybody that loved Nirvana is not, still not healed, but maybe a lot of people like myself are still stuck in the 90s musically. And that's what I gotta say about that. Thank you and good night.